Welcome back to Tarot by the Bay. I'm David. Well, that was interesting. The House Judiciary Committee had Merrick Garland in today. The Judiciary Committee in this case was looking at the weaponization of the Department of Justice. Because they think that the Biden Department of Justice is weaponized, but the Trump Department of Justice wasn't. Just so we're keeping track here what reality we're in. We're in Earth 2. During the hearing, Representative Thomas Massey, he's from Kentucky, and he's a piece of work, accused Attorney General Merrick Garland of being in contempt of Congress for declining to comment on the ongoing investigations into Hunter Biden. Now, sidebar. Typically, law enforcement doesn't talk about ongoing investigations, as a rule. But what was great with this is Rep Swalwell, who's on this committee, just hit back and said, quote, "That is quite rich because the guy who's leaving the hearing room right now and leads the committee is Mr. Jordan. And he's about 500 days into evading his subpoena, the January 6th subpoena." I looked up Massey just to see who this guy was because I don't really recognize the name. I found out he's from Kentucky, and he is a piece of work. He is somebody who doesn't think that January 6th was a riot. He thought it was just peaceful protesters. He voted against giving the police chief a gold medal. He voted against the 12 Capitol police officers from getting the Medal of Honor, or whatever medal that they're getting. I think it was the Medal of Honor. He was one of 3 Republicans who voted against making lynching a hate crime. I think he's a COVID denier on top of that. He said the Trump impeachments have no purpose, etc., etc., etc. This guy is he is garbage. And he's such, I don't know what district he's in. I don't know why he's kissing Trump's butt like he is. I don't know if he has involvement with election interference. But at the very best, he's just a piece of garbage. But anyway, so Merrick Garland apparently was a rather fiery thing. So I kind of want to read multiple things on this one. First off, give me the general reading. How did Merrick Garland come away from this hearing that happened today? Entertainment purposes only. Okay. Interesting. Ace of Wands went in there with a purpose, with a mission and a purpose. And the articles I was reading even said that, Garland's usually pretty mild-mannered. He wasn't very mild-mannered in this one. For all the criticism we give him as being spineless, he was showing spine today. He wasn't going to get pushed around. Cross with the Ten of Swords. Yeah, these guys, the folks on this committee, the Republicans on this committee, they're out for blood, and they want to basically embarrass, humiliate, probably get Merrick Garland removed if they could, because why wouldn't they? But this is what he's up against. He had to go to bat because he knew that these guys were just going to take cheap shot after cheap shot after cheap shot at him. In the past, we have the Two of Pentacles. I guess he probably had the ability to say no, he wasn't going to show up. I believe William Barr pulled some maneuver like that. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm thinking of, maybe I'm wrong. I'm thinking of John Roberts said he wasn't going to show up for a congressional subpoena. But I think it's also kind of like Garland is used to the government working a certain way, and it's not working the way it's supposed to. And so now he weighs, normally he wouldn't have thought twice about going to this thing, and now he's contemplating whether it's worth it. So that's kind of what he's got going on. And I think it's also, you're seeing his values changing. It's interesting because this forms the infinity logo. And how the values maybe for the longest time were pretty steady, but now he's got to contemplate changing his values because what was infinite isn't actually infinite. It doesn't work anymore. I think he misses the days when when basically lawmakers were civil and looking for the best interest of the country. But, And again, the Six of Cups can be about naivety. Have they ever been that way, though? I mean, when you start hearing about arguments and debates that happened in Congress, it doesn't look like they've ever gotten along. There's always extremists in there, usually on the conservative side, that are just causing problems, whether they're racist or they want to start duels on the floor or whatnot. There's never been a time where Congress seems to get on. So I think it's a naivety on his part. But he does have the government on his mind. So he went in there to protect the Department of Justice and the government agency. Maybe he's a little bit naive, thinking he would be able to, make friends and take the temperature down a little bit. But he probably went in with good intentions. Again, we can say naive and laugh at him, but at the same time, if you don't try, you won't find out. Now, with these guys, the Republicans on there, they don't care. They're not interested in playing nice. So it is kind of a fool. You just got to know who your audience is. And I think he did, which is why he went in with the stick. Lesson to be learned. You showed up. You showed that you were that you're trying to be fair and balanced. You offered them some crumbs of something or another. You value your position and you showed the value of it. The problem that I see with all this is that he's acting within the norms of decorum, of respect, but the people he's showing decorum and respect to don't reciprocate. And until we get those people out, trying to show decorum and rising above it doesn't really serve you. They just troll you even harder. Outcome, Page of Wands. The Republicans got their sound bites that they wanted. And I'm sure if you were to tune in the news tonight or tomorrow, you're going to hear or go onto Twitter, you're going to hear all about the sound bites they had regarding Merrick Garland. Why did he go? He's basically there to tell the truth and expose things. Is he going to talk about Hunter Biden? No, because it's an ongoing investigation. Doesn't involve them. They don't need to know. But he would answer their questions as asked. So, and that Page of Wands could also be Merrick Garland is maybe starting to understand what exactly it is that he's facing. Sometimes you don't know how bad it is until you go and face the crowd yourself. And then you've got to read on the room. Maybe he's just too detached from that. Again, not trying to judge him, just saying that. Trying to understand the cards, understand the portrayal that you've seen with Merrick Garland, and then marry the two things together. Okay. Thomas Massey, is that his name again? Thomas Massey, Jim Jordan, and the Republicans on that committee. How do they feel they did in this hearing, this interview? I'm kind of curious. Did they get the things that they wanted out of it? I mean, we got that Page of Wands, so I think they're going to take some action off of this. Again, I'm sure it's all about Hunter Biden because of their strange man crush on Hunter Biden. Find out. And again, entertainment purpose only. How do the Republicans feel they did in this hearing? Oh, well, maybe the naivety was on their part as opposed to Merrick Garland's part, because that was over in this position. So we've got the naivety crossed with the world card. Closure of things. That's interesting because I'm sure. And let's see what's underneath it. King of Wands. Oh yeah. Okay. So King of Wands is my Merrick Garland card. I use that for the Department of Justice and Merrick Garland. I think it was some foolishness on their part. They're used to bullying people around, bullying the little person around and just, doing that. But I think they understand that, again, I mentioned the Republican Party wants to go back to the 50s. You just have to decide which century, the 1950s, the 1850s, and the 1750s. their time is coming to an end. And their ability to sort of rule is coming to an end. And why? Because Merrick Garland is bringing those cases against January 6th insurrectionists. He's got Jack Smith leading it, but, Garland was the one who turned Jack Smith loose on this. So now we're starting to get closure on this, and it wouldn't be a surprise to many in this audience to think that Jim Jordan had something to do with the January 6th insurrection, right? I mean, he's on the phone with Trump, even though he can't remember he's on the phone with Trump, even though he's on the phone with Trump like 3 or 4 times, but didn't remember what they talked about during an insurrection at the Capitol. The guy's got bad memory, I'll tell you what. There we go again. In the past, we have the Ace of Wands. God, I'm wondering if this is, because we got the past and the present, and we'll read it as the Republicans. They've run with it. They ran with the insurrection, and they won the House of Representatives. They formed these committees, and they wanted to use these committees like a cudgel to basically beat down their opponents and just force that narrative through. Wow, still all these Merrick Garland cards are showing up. But Garland came in and spoke the truth about what happened. And the truth is being exposed to their actions. Again, the truth, the Sun card and the truth are not the friends of people who lie. And Donald Trump, for instance, is a pathological liar. So the Sun card and the Truth card is a very bad thing for them. And the Republicans that are backing him, the Sun card is not good. The Truth is not their friend. They're going to face judgment for this. So they're kind of trying to, again, I think they're just trying to muddy the waters and take Merrick Garland and the Department of Justice down a couple of pegs, but it didn't work. I think there's 2 things going on here. The Republicans think they got their message out to the world. They went in there with a purpose. They exposed their truth. The corrupt Department of Justice. And they are calling their minions to rise up. But, their minions are their minions are kind of oddballs. The ones who are going to rise up are the weird ones. They're the conspiracy theorists anyways. And God, these cards are great. And even to the ones that they rise up, nothing's going to happen. It's just, it ends. It doesn't go anywhere. Now, from the way I really think is happening is they're being naive and their time is coming to an end. They started this committee, went with a cudgel, but information got shared that was truthful, and people are going to make judgments. And the ones that look weird aren't the Department of Justice. It's going to be the Jim Jordans and the Republicans on that committee. And it's their attempt to assassinate Garland's character didn't work. They'll get their sound bites. This is going to be them getting their sound bites, but it just doesn't. It's not going anywhere. There's no there. They might get that short-term boost that trolls and hecklers kind of like, hey, yeah. But again, Trump can't win the election, and these guys can't win the election based on MAGA alone. There's not enough MAGA people out there. They need to get conservative voters. They need to get independent voters. They need to get women. And their antics are driving these people away. When you have Swalwell, and I'm going to read on him now, coming up with his countdown board showing it's been 496 days, X number of hours and minutes since Jim Jordan hasn't answered his subpoena, that speaks volumes, because it's shoving the hypocrisy right in the face of the viewers. Lest we forget that Jim Jordan was not answering a lawfully issued subpoena. How did Swalwell do? What's the energy around Eric Swalwell right now? I think Linda G was the one that was saying that she saw a big political future for Swalwell. Maybe even a presidency. We shall see. Swalwell's from Dublin, California. It's the next town south from where I live. All right. What's the energy around Eric Swalwell? All right. He's kind of lying in wait. He's a thinker. And, even though he pounced on Jim Jordan to bring home his point, without having a majority on this committee, there's really no sense in being over the top. It's not going to do you any good. He's kind of on this committee just to sort of bring reality to it and sort of keep a tab on the antics of the committee. So he's more there as not a spy, but he's monitoring things. Leave it at that. He's monitoring things. High Priestess. A lot of wisdom and energy in this. So mostly keeps his mouth shut. He's trying to keep the process within the guardrails of what a committee like this normally should be able to do. He points out when they're going off the rails illegally, but he's gathering intelligence and information on these guys. Yeah. Don't doubt that he's not the actual leader on this committee, even though Jim Jordan's the head of the committee and these other clowns are running around there. He's the one who's actually he's the one who's actually in command. He's the actual leader. These other guys aren't leaders. They're just trolls. In the past, Nine of Cups, Swalwell, I think he's very proud of... I just remembered, Swalwell has a law degree and Jim Jordan doesn't, and he's trolled him on that. Swalwell's proud of his accomplishments. He's a lawyer. He's been on Congress. He's been reelected to Congress. He has a good understanding. He's backed by his constituents. He is rising in power in the Democratic Party. He is positioned really, really well, and he's on important committees. His wishes and dreams being met. Currently, Empress. Even though his voice isn't really going to be heard in this committee, again, he's keeping an eye on things. He's trying to keep things on the straight and narrow. He's bringing logic to it, but he's providing balance and kind of like a parental energy to it. The teenagers are they're going to run they're roughshod over the place, and the inmates are running the asylum, and he's the adult in the room. But, this isn't hurting his career, and he knows it. And he's still conducting himself as a mature leader, basically. Again, think of him as being a leader amongst a bunch of non-serious actors. Page of Pentacles. This is your Jim Jordans and the Thomas Masseys and such. They're after the money. They go out there. They have very little to offer of value, but they raise a lot of drama and then fundraise off of that drama. That's kind of the overarching energy. So he's more grounded while these other guys are just all over the place, just trying to be crazy. Temperance. Okay, we've got 3 major arcana. Look at this major arcana, though. Look at this divine feminine energy. The Empress, the High Priestess, and Temperance. What a great little trifecta of, taking care of people, divine wisdom, detoxification, purification, integration. It's a great little V that's forming there. Your victory V. It's going to take time for the Democrats to gain power. He's trying to slow down the toxicity of this committee. And again, he calls out their BS when there's BS on there. And he knows time is on his side. This committee is moving slowly. There's no there. So they can't really do a whole lot. So, you know, he's there. He's putting in his time, and he's correcting the record as it needs to be corrected. Again, biding his time. Outcome, Six of Pentacles. He's the one dispensing wisdom to the people who don't know what's going on. I think he's also kind of showing maybe the junior members on this how things are done. But I think this is more showing the Republicans how things are done when they're done properly. He is providing a service. He is providing a service to the folks on the committee and to the American people by being on there. And again, calling out Jim Jordan during that trial, or not trial, but during that hearing, again, drives the point home of hypocrisy. And he's feeding that to the American people slowly so that they can wrap their heads around it. Because I'm sure anybody in MAGA land has completely forgotten that Jim Jordan was subpoenaed, and he's not letting them forget. I don't know if there's really anything else we need to read on this, because this committee's not going anywhere. I'll do a little four-carder. What was the committee at all effective? What was the outcome from the committee today with Merrick Garland? It's kind of the overall outcome of it. We've got the government, Eight of Wands, High Priestess, Temperance. We put those cards in different spots. And the Devil. Oh my. Okay. Here's what we got. We had the Department of Justice was brought in, and it shows the Department of Justice acting in a wise fashion. This thing was broadcast for people to see. They showed kind of a maturity and integration of wisdom and purification of the system. What's underneath it is the devil. These are the MAGA crowds, the people who have willingly tied themselves to Trump. And it's a contrast. It's a contrast of what normal government looks like versus extremism. And people need to decide what they want. It was put right in front of their face so they could see it. And it's up to them to decide, do you want to continue going down this path? And if not, you need to start to get yourself away from it. So yeah, this committee meeting was actually somewhat helpful in a spiritual sense. It's maybe not changing a huge number of minds. It may not change that huge number of minds quickly, but it is going to have that effect of changing people's minds. So, okay. All is not lost. Thank you for watching this video, and thank you for supporting my channel. I appreciate it. Thank you for all the likes, comments, and shares that you do to feed the YouTube algorithm. That algorithm is what decides when my videos show up on other people's feeds. And it gets my video out there so that people who haven't seen me before, this pops up on their feed. Maybe they might be interested in watch it. And if they watch it, they might be entertained or find it informative and subscribe to the channel. And then we just grow our community, and it helps me get that message out to more and more people. So hopefully we can make a change. To the new viewers and the new subscribers, welcome to the channel. Glad you found us. Hope you stick around, and I'll catch you on the next video. Take care.